Now the main aim of Joe Midgley Horsemanship is to take a foal, and over the years we turn them into a top level performance horse. Now the ethos, the ideology behind these training methods is not that we're there as a dictator to force the horse to do what we need them to do. It's that we're a coach, we're a teacher, we're a horseman. We need to get the horse to where they want to try, they want to learn, and they want to figure out whatever question it is that we're asking. Now it very much focuses on the horse's mental well-being, mental state, and if they have a good mindset and they want to try for their rider, they want to try for their owner, their handler, whatever situation you're in, then they're going to thrive. Now that works both mentally and physically. We want to nurture the athleticism in a horse to where physically they're able to do incredible things, but mentally they want to do incredible things. I think that's the key. I started riding when I was 14, and I was riding under some guys that were very old school in their training methods. They were a little tougher on their horses than what I am today. But I'm very grateful to them. They taught me how to rope, they taught me how to saddle a horse up, they taught me the fundamentals of starting young horses, and much as I don't so much do the same things as what they did now, I still have that knowledge and I still have that understanding of why they did it. And I'm very grateful for that. Over the years, I've been lucky enough to work and meet and train and do clinics and what have you with some of the best names in the whole world. Even some of the best names in history of Western horsemen and natural horsemen, and just people that have such an understanding of a horse that it feels like magic. There's this misunderstanding of the horse whisperer, and people have called me a horse whisperer a number of times because when you have this understanding of a horse, you can go in and you can take a horse that tries to kick you and bite you and barge you all over, and within 10 minutes they're a puppy dog. And people do think it's magic and that it's, this mythical aura that you have about you, and it's not. It's just understanding a horse's body and the language that they use. I think so often we teach a horse to speak human rather than us learning to speak horse. I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have in this country, is that we expect a horse to speak our language from the word go. One of the myths that surrounds this field of horsemanship is that it's somehow restricted to Western riders only. Now, a horse is born like a human. They're a blank canvas, okay? And sure, they have certain characteristics of their breed and their type, so they might be a little heavier, they might be a little leaner, but their mind is blank, okay? Their mind is just as a human child is. We might have certain tendencies, but overall it's our socialization and our upbringing that makes us who we are. Now, a horse's mind is a horse's mind, and this training is universal. This horsemanship is about communicating effectively with a horse. It's not about doing dressage or show jumping or Western riding. It's about communication. And with effective communication, you can teach a horse to do anything. And that's why I have horses that compete at grade A show jumping. I have horses that compete in advanced and medium level dressage. I have horses that are at national level reining. It's a complete mix, because once you understand how a horse's mind works, and then you understand how a horse's body works, you can teach them to do incredible things, but the key is making them want to do it. I've worked with a number of problem horses over the years, and there's nothing particularly different that I do with those horses that I wouldn't have done with my yearlings and my foals. It's telling them what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. The difference is that these horses have pretty strong opinions about what is and isn't, and I just have to get that opinion across. And you don't have to beat them up, and you don't have to kick them harder or anything like that. That's just another one of those myths. Stick a sweeping brush up the back of a horse that doesn't want to go in a trailer, and you give a horse a damn good reason not to want to go in a trailer. And there will be somebody that tells you it works, but there isn't a cure for stupid. Now, Problem horses are just a horse that has an idea that something is right and it's going to get rid of the pressure. Ultimately, all a horse wants is peace and a good deal. Now, if you can offer a horse a good deal, you're a good horseman, providing that you get what you need to get at the same time. Now, from a horse's point of view, if you're putting pressure on him and he doesn't like that pressure and he wants to get rid of it and he bucks and you quit, he's got a damn good reason to buck next time you put that pressure on. Now, I've worked with horses that will turn themselves inside out. They would have killed themselves before they did what I asked them to do. Now, with those horses, you have to be so careful that you don't injure yourself. You have to be so careful that you don't injure the horse. But you have to make it so clear to the horse that it's a real bad idea doing what he's doing. And it's not easy. But that's why we have to be effective in our communication. It's for safety as much as anything else. I think a big part of the motivation for me to kind of develop this program and this way of working with horses to try and develop a partnership was that I see so many people day to day that I do believe abuse their horses, and it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose, but it may be what their trainer told them to do or what the people in their yard told them to do or whatever. But from the horse's point of view, there's no relief. You know, I always say to people, if my horses are good and my horses come out with a good mindset, they're never going to feel me pull on them. The amount of leg that I would put on would be minimal. You would never see it. You know, from a spectator's point of view, you'd never see it. The horse has to have that choice. Whereas I think bad horsemanship and bad training, bad riding, bad handling, whatever, is when, even when the horse is doing it right, he's still got constant pressure on him. You know, and a lot of people, it's just lack of education. It's not with a bad intention. It's not that they go out of their way to kind of get after a horse, but there's so many things that people use, equipment that people use, and they create so many problems with their horses that then further down the line they realize the problems, and there's such a feeling of regret there, and it's sad. And the idea of this for me is to kind of try and educate as many people as I can and get them to where they can train horses to a good level on their own. You know, I'm just there as support, so to speak, and they can avoid that with every horse that they ever work with again, as well as making those horses feel a bit better about themselves. Anything that we want to achieve in this life, we're going to have to go out and earn it ourselves. You know, training a horse, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't take a day. It doesn't take a week. It takes months and months, and those months spiral into years. And eventually, at the end of those years, you'll have the best horse out there. But it takes dedication, it takes time, it takes work. And it's the exact same principle in life. I never thought that I would be good enough to train horses for a living, you know, full time. And I was sat in a classroom one day, and I'd taken some time off college, and I came back, and I was listening to the teacher speak, and all I could think, like, the words weren't going in, all I could think was, I do not want to be here. You know, and the time that I'd taken off, I was riding horses every day, and that was, you know, maybe only a week or 2 weeks, and I was riding every single day, a couple of horses. I was riding, you know, it was fantastic. I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was it was a good time. And I went back and I was sat there, and all I could think was, I just want to be in a saddle somewhere. And that was it. That was the moment that I kind of thought, this isn't going to work for me. And I pursued it ever since. You know, people tell me how lucky I am that I get to do what I love to do every single day, and I am lucky. But for a long time, for years, it was the hardest thing in the world trying to get going, trying to get started. You know, I was working a job just to fund my passion, which was working with horses. And I was doing lessons for free, I was riding horses for free. I was doing anything that I could just to try and get going, and it took 2 or 3 years before it I could really charge, before I could kind of make any kind of living at all. And I was relying on buses and trains to get around. I was getting taken places by family members and friends. It wasn't an easy time. But looking back, I would never change it, because it helps us to grow. That struggle and that work ethic really makes us develop as a person and as a horseman. I think someone that I learned a lot from once said that once you stop trying to train a horse and you start trying to train yourself, things are going to get a whole lot better. We moved to North Lincolnshire in August of 2017, just a couple of months ago. We've got a beautiful house here and a load of land that is kind of ready to get started on. We've just been cleaning the place up and getting it as livable and as ready for our horses and stuff as possible. The plan over the years is to make this into a central hub of horsemanship practitioners around the country. We'll run all our clinics and demonstrations from here, we'll give lessons from here, we'll take horses in for training here. We're aiming to set up a full kind of rehabilitation centre for horses and get them kind of back on track physically and mentally. Hayley, my fiance, she's very nearly qualified as a sports massage and remedial therapist, so she'll have a massive part in that as well. And I think we'll together, from both the training aspect and the physical aspect, I think we're going to help a lot of horses. So we're very, very excited to get going with that. I try and make myself as accessible as possible. Day to day, I travel around the country doing lessons, one-to-one lessons and group lessons. But we do clinics and we do demonstrations to try and get the theory, to try and get things out there as much as we can. We have a YouTube channel that we've posted a bunch of instructional videos on there, kind of how to get this and the things that we look for. And the response that we've had from that has been great. Because we're reaching people that I can't get to. There's been a lot of people abroad that have sent us questions and have really been appreciating the videos, and I think that's fantastic. One of the benefits of media as it is today is that we can access these people. Now the clinics are probably my favorite event that we do. The atmosphere of a clinic is fantastic for young horses. It's great for older horses, but also nervous riders or even competent riders. It gives you so much awareness about your surroundings and what's going on. So the clinics, there'll be a bunch of horses in the arena together, and we'll all go through the same exercises, and we'll keep progressing, and we see how far we get. So quite often the clinics maybe start on the ground, and then we progress to the ridden work. And I'll go through various movements that I want everybody to try and perform. I'll move around and talk to each person and see how they're getting on individually, and then we'll move on to the next movement. Now in between that, I'll do a lot of little demonstrations where I'll borrow one of the participants' horses and go through a certain movement with that horse, and see if I can kind of demonstrate that to the people. And generally we have a small audience that'll come as well. So I think you can learn just as much from spectating at a clinic than you can go into a demonstration. The demonstrations are a great introduction to this kind of way of training. So you can see me work with one of my horses, or you see me work with a problem horse or a young horse. Obviously it's not nearly as interactive. You don't have your horse there to kind of practice on, so quite often you might forget what you've kind of learned by the time you get to working with yours. But it's a fantastic way of getting to understand this way of doing things. You can ask questions, and I'll answer the questions the best I can with the horse that I've got at the time. And it is a good... I try and make them as entertaining as possible as well. I don't just want it to be kind of sitting there and put your hand up. I want it to be as kind of informal and friendly as as I can make it. If you're interested in booking a lesson or holding a clinic or a demonstration at your yard, you can get in touch with us via our website at www.joemidgleyhorsemanship.co.uk. In terms of my rough schedule, I'm in kind of the North Lincolnshire area now on a Monday. I'm in Doncaster and Sheffield on a Tuesday. Alternate Wednesdays, I'm in the Nottinghamshire area. The alternate Wednesday, I'm in Rotherham. On Thursdays, I'm in Leeds, and on Fridays, I'm in Leeds and Bradford. I don't generally do lessons over the weekend, unless I'm going longer distance. So we go over to Liverpool, sometimes further down south, over the weekends. But certainly in the summertime, we hold all our clinics and our demonstrations. So I don't like to commit to certain days over the weekend, just in case I'm going to have to cancel those more often in the summertime. If you would like a lesson, or a clinic, or a demonstration, or even a talk, get in touch. Hopefully we'll see you soon.